Hey, we're here just for a short time together tonight, just about a half an hour. We're going to pick up where we left off on Proverbs, and we're looking at Proverbs 19.
Long way.
Just a little review. Chapters 1 through 9, if you remember, were really about wisdom versus folly. The root of that was there was a juxtaposition constantly in the writing of if you're following wisdom, you're this, and if you're following folly, you're that. And so it was really laying out the scale of what is right and good and what is detrimental and what's going to hurt you. And then really 10 through 29 is where we are, and that's the core of the Proverbs of Solomon. So this is most of them anyway, attributed to Solomon for him. And I said that the primer, there are several primers, by the way, but the one that I picked as the central one is the fear of the Lord. And that brings us back, because remember that according to the Proverbs, according to wisdom, the fear of the Lord is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's the right thing. In fact, it is the way we should describe our relationship with God. We have fear of the Lord. A good thing. All right, so who would like to begin? We're going 19:1. Let's go through, let's see. Let's go through 8, 1 through 8. There's a little couplet in there, so.
Okay, I'll read it.
Okay, go, Gail.
Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one who is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also, it is not good for a soul to be without knowledge, and he sins who hastens with his feet. The foolish of a man twists his way, and his heart frets against the Lord. Wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies will not escape. Many entreat the favor of the nobility, and every man is a friend to one who gives gifts. All the brothers of the poor hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He may pursue them with words, yet they abandon him. He who gets wisdom loves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will find good.
Okay. Woo! Where should we start? Oh my gosh, so much. Anyone pick out any one of those they want to jump on, or just the beginning? Better a poor man who's walked blameless than a fool whose lips are perverse. And I've got this other translation here. Better to be poor and honest than to be dishonest and a fool.
What do you need?
And let's see. 3. A man's own folly ruins his life, yet his heart rages against the Lord. So this other,
I want to write this down so I don't have to stop everything every time.
People ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. I like that translation better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a proverb of responsibility. We face this kind of thing all the time, especially in our children when they were young. You know, trying to teach responsibility and honesty, especially in a world that's pushing the other way and displaying the opposite. That not only it doesn't just work with the Lord, it works with pretty much everything. They get themselves in trouble, they have a problem, they do the wrong thing, and then they blame everybody else for it. They blame the thing, they blame the saw, they blame the hammer, they blame the nails, they blame the next door neighbor, they blame the policeman that pulled them over.
Start a new line because it's
blame
too
the
long.
judge who fined them. They just but all the more. I mean, I watched a video today of a man who sat very passionately looking at the screen and said, Christianity has ruined my life, and God is this terrible, terrible being, and this is awful. And then he went to describe his life, which was a mess. And he says, and this is all God's fault. You know, God, well, you know, I'd love to talk to him, because what he spoke about was a pretty sophisticated run in his life. But this guy's probably in his 70s, 60s or 70s. You know, pretty sophisticated endeavors in his life, which obviously he chose to be a part of. but they never brought anything good to him. And so now, in his older age, he's saying that the reason why they didn't is because God's bad. God's terrible. So that's what this is saying. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness, and then they get angry at the Lord.
So that's an 8.
It can't be your fault. Can't be my fault. It's got to be somebody else's fault. Right? All right, let's see. Wealth brings many friends, but the poor man's friend deserts him. Remember now, too, the culture of the ancient times was not enamored with wealth in the same way we are. And if you had wealth, people believed that you were blessed, that God's blessing you, in the same way that if you were diseased or you're broken, then God was cursing you. So wealth not only meant that you were a powerful person or a prosperous person, but that you had a favoring, a spiritual favoring from God. Wealth brings many friends, but the poor man's friend deserts him. And then it goes on. I think it's interesting to 5. A false witness will not go unpunished, but he who pours out lies will not go free. So we have the wealth brings friends, but are they real friends? Are they true friends, or are they something else? Many curry favor from a ruler, and everyone is the friend of a man who gives gifts. There it is again. Are these people really your friend, or are they like the friends of the prodigal son? You know, he had lots of friends when he went to town, straight from his dad's house. Then he didn't have any friends once all the money was gone. So there it is. The poor man is shunned by all his relatives. How much more do his friends avoid him? Because he's obviously being punished by God, right? He's poor. Though he pursues them with pleading, they are nowhere to be found. So this is a lesson in another way. This is looking back at the people who are treating this person this way. He's poor, and the reason why they're treating him bad is because he's poor. They don't know him. He may be a great guy, maybe wonderful. He wants to do things, he wants to help, but they'll never know it because they won't have anything to do with him because he's poor. Now, that bleeds into our culture and our society, doesn't it? And we're not completely to blame for that, because if you go downtown, you walk downtown, especially if you go to a big city, San Francisco is a great example. I spent a lot of time there, or LA, and people on the street are very bold about coming over and getting money from you. And it happens just, right, they'll just walk right up to you and say, hey, you have money? I need money. You have any money? So people get pretty quickly lessened with that. And when someone starts to walk up, they're like, no, you say it before they even say anything. Nope, and just keep on going. Same thing happens when you're overseas in some places. Happens in the Philippines when I was there. But if we're not careful, then that bleeds into every time we are confronted with people that are otherly or less fortunate. We have that same sort of feeling comes up in us, that this is just a rude scam sort of thing, and that's dangerous. We'll hear more about that later on in Proverbs as we get there. He who gets wisdom loves his own soul. He who cherishes understanding prospers. So I like that. He who gets wisdom loves his own soul. So I know I love me, and I know that I need, and I don't know everything, and I need to grow, and so I get wisdom. And the other way around, I get wisdom, and it shows me that I'm a valuable person. I'm a valuable thing, that God created me, and I'm beautiful, and I'm wonderful, and God loves me, and so I can prosper. I'll go on, I won't make $1 billion and become, a jet setter, but I go on as I do, and not feeling like a broken toy. I go on knowing that I am special, and I'm wonderfully made. So that's good. Great back and forth. All right, who'd like to read next? 9. We'll read 9 through, we'll read 9 through 14.
I'll do it.
Okay.
A false witness will not go unpunished, and a liar will be destroyed. It isn't right for a fool to live in luxury, or for a slave to rule over princes. Sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. The king's anger is like a lion's roar, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish child is a calamity to a father. A quarrelsome wife is as annoying as constant dripping. Fathers can give their sons an inheritance of houses and wealth, but only the Lord can give an understanding wife.
Okay. There's some good ones there too. Let's see. Now, if you were in the program last night, remember that Mac said, after Papa said, I want you to forgive, and he said, why? So he gets away with it. And Papa said, nobody gets away with anything. So here's where you can find it. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who pours out lies will perish. It's not just God only, though, because the result of bearing false witness and being a liar usually is the downfall. It's the detriment to the self as well. People find out sooner or later what you are and what you do, and nobody wants to be around that person. So that'll be the end of your. And it gets worse. That goes back now. That goes back to 3. The answer to 9 is 3, because when you perish in a life, it's to not take responsibility for who you are and then get into that spiral, down and down. It's not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. How much worse for a slave to rule over a prince? What do you think of that one? It's the first time I read that, I remember it seemed to me really mean. Like mean.
Oh,
I read it when I read it the first time. I thought it was saying that, especially the second part, it's worse for a slave to rule over a prince. So that means the slaves are unworthy. They're these people that put them down and keep them down.
It's like endorsing the class system.
Yeah. But what this is really saying is it's pointing more toward the idea that the first part of the line is a giveaway. It's not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. So what they're saying is that that's not. Remember the old thing that we say, it's not fair for these corrupt people, these corrupt bad people, to get rich and rich and more rich and rich, and they can have anything they want because they've got everything they can never want, and they have all this money. But it's not fair because they're corrupt. They're corrupt and they're broken and they're nasty and they don't care about people. So it's not fair for a fool to live in luxury. It's the same sentiment. The person who does not have that sense of wisdom and that desire to know God, it's not fair that these things happen. But they won't get away with it, as we look backward at the Proverbs before it. A man's wisdom gives him patience, and his glory to overlook an offense. Mine says, what's that, 10? 11. Sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. And then it moves into that, right? The king's anger is like a lion's roar, but his favor is like the dew on grass. So we have a good king. This is a good thing. It's saying here that authority is not a bad thing. People can have authority and still be just and good and true and fair. And if they exercise that authority for a good reason, then the people, remember, it's like when the police come, you always say, if you haven't done anything wrong, you have nothing to fear. That might not be true anymore, but it used to be that when the police come, you have nothing to fear. Righteous people, honest people don't have anything to fear because we didn't do anything wrong. So when the king roars, that's a pretty frightening thing, but I'm not afraid because I haven't done anything wrong. So it's going to be okay. But his favor is like dew on the grass. And when I receive the favor of the king, it's like the beautiful place. It's like the beautiful garden that I'm in, that I can recline and relax and see the wonder of it. And the foolish child is a calamity to a father. A quarrelsome wife is annoying as constant dripping. Ooh, So, yeah, okay, we can just move on.
Well, the next one's not any better.
Let's see what's that. Fathers can give their sons
Well-
inheritance of houses and wealth, but only the Lord can give an understanding wife. I like that one. I think that's good.
It's an implication there.
Well,
It's-
mine says a foolish son is the ruin of his father. And that makes sense, that a foolish son, because the father will always try to prop up his son.
Right.
But I don't know about this, the contention of a wife is a continual dripping. I don't know what that means.
Annoying.
Chinese water torture.
Yeah.
Ring a
Annoying.
bell.
It's qualified in my translation. In fact, both of them, it's qualified. It's saying that the wife who is unreasonable is like a constant dripping, because the wife who is overbearing and oppressive just because that's the way she is, that's what she does, is like constant dripping. You can't get away from it. It's because it's the design of the person. And so it's like, constant dripping just goes on. And, a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I had I lived with a faucet that was annoying me for a long time. I don't know what, I was stupid, I didn't fix it, but I found out that after a while I didn't hear it anymore.
Huh.
I was immune to it. And then later on, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, I would suddenly hear it again. And it would be so loud and like, but then after a while it would go away. So that was me. That was me tuning in and tuning out. And sort of saying this is the result. So the effect of this is a really a damnation of both people. Potentially. The husband who begins to have to tune out the wife just because there's nothing else to do. And the wife who then redoubles her dripping because she knows the husband's tuned out.
Mhm.
Kind of a sad cycle.
Well, the next verse just makes it seem like it's such a rarity to have an understanding wife.
The
And only
father's-
God can give that.
Yes. Well, I look at this saying, okay, so a lot of guys, this isn't necessarily true. I mean, there's a lot of songs otherwise, but I think it's looking to say for the men, don't think that you're all that. Don't think
Is that the same as to be happy all your life? Get yourself a, what was it?
An ugly woman for a wife. That's the song.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife.
Yeah, yeah.
She sure is ugly, but she sure can cook.
I love that song.
Yeah, this one says, but a prudent wife is from the Lord.
Yeah.
And that doesn't give the impression that it's a rarity. It just gives the impression that if you have a prudent wife, you're blessed.
It is a blessing.
Yes, I think that's the lesson. That's the lesson. A lot, I have known men in my life that believe that they have this wife because they are all that. And isn't she lucky? And I think this is saying that, if you're a person of faith, you have no business thinking that. If you wind up with a match that is wonderfully part of your life, then you have to turn to God and say thank you for this, like we turn to God for thank you for everything. God gives us to each other. We're not randomly, formed up, unless we have formed up for the wrong reasons. In which case, very sad, usually ends poorly. Let's see.
Well, I think also in the process of finding a wife, God ought to be in there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
When I was in college, I came upon my friend reading 1 Corinthians 13. And I said, Arlie, what are you doing? And she said, well, I've gone out with this guy twice. I'm reading 1 Corinthians 13 to see if he rates a third date. And I thought, you'd read the Bible to decide that? That's so, I would have never thought of that. But then, now in retrospect, I've never read 1 Corinthians 13 for that, but I have used, other Bible things that were more something to me.
Right.
But
Well, 1 Corinthians 13, isn't that the one's love is this, love is that, love is the other
right,
thing?
and especially, doesn't bears, believes, whatever,
Uh-huh.
but that was what she was doing to decide if she was gonna go out with him again, spending a thoughtful half hour contemplating 1 Corinthians 13.
Very nice. That'll serve her well. All
She
right.
go out with him?
Yeah, did she go out with him?
I think she decided not.
Hmm,
Ah,
probably a good thing then.
She fell in love with this guy who was in the process of getting a divorce.
Oh, well, there you
And
go.
then he changed his mind, and she never got married.
Oh,
oh,
dear.
wow.
Oh, that's awful. That's not a
Yeah.
happy ending story. Jeez.
I mean, she just never saw anybody else. I don't
Oh,
know.
so
I mean,
sad.
there's a certain age, 35, that you're very much, if you haven't gotten married already, you're not likely to get married.
Yeah.
If you've been married and divorced, you're much more likely to get married than if you have never married.
Mhm.
It's just,
And
Okay.
if that verse is important to you, you may not get married because you may never find that,
Yes.
well,
those verses.
Did we stop at 14?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to read on now?
I will.
We'll go 15 through 22.
Okay, good, because that's where my page ends. Okay. Laziness casts one into a deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger. He who keeps the commandments keeps his soul, but he who is careless of his ways will die. He who has pity on the poor lends to the Lord, and he will pay back what he has given. Chasten your son while there is hope, and do not set your hope on his destruction. Do not set your heart on his destruction, sorry. A man of great wrath will suffer punishment, for if you rescue him, you will have to do it again. Hasten to counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter days. There are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the Lord's counsel that will stand. What is desired in a man is kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar.
Okay. Anyone stand out?
Hmm.
Lending to the poor, the Lord
Yeah.
will reward you.
Yeah. 17. He who is kind to the
17.
poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward him for what he has done.
Mm.
Well, that brings us back to what I was saying about meeting the people on the street and getting jaded, and letting that perspective rule the rest of your encounters for the rest of your life. When it should,
And he will pay back what is given, sort of means he's going to pay it forward.
yeah.
How was your number 18 worded?
Chasten your son while there is hope, and do not set your heart on his destruction.
Oh,
I have, all the while there is hope, chastise your son, but do not set out to destroy him altogether.
Yeah. Mine is discipline your son, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to his death.
I like that one better than this. Mine says chasten your son while there is hope. That means at some point you're just going to give up. And
Yeah.
that says to me at some point you're give up. The way yours is worded, discipline your son, and as long as you do that, there's hope.
Mhm.
Well, I remember as a pediatrician, at 6 months, I told parents it's time for you to switch gears. Instead of just responding to your child, now you need to start the social contract. Now you need to make him do things and enforce it. The thing we were talking about is holding still on the changing table.
Mhm.
You know, and the parents who couldn't do that, they were in trouble forever.
Mhm.
He's so young, he's so cute. It's like, yeah, and you're doomed. They wanted to start at 3 or
Yep.
2. I was like, nah, no, 6 months.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. That's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, well, when, everybody's, I guess, has seen a kid, and you can say that kid has never heard the word no.
Mhm.
then there are people that their parents never let them win.
Mm.
It doesn't matter how petty and they ruin this just as much as never saying no.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, what mine says is discipline your children while there is hope. Otherwise you will ruin their lives.
Now that's good.
Yeah.
That one's strong.
Yeah.
Well,
I
That's
suppose if they don't have a person that doesn't have any discipline,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. They grow up to be those people. You know those people. I know those
they're
people.
in prison.
They ruined their life. Their parents did that. Their parents did it because they didn't raise a child who was aimed at fitting into the world, into a culture. And then because of that, they do what they want to do.
Hmm.
That's
some
ruinous.
people don't understand that the goal of parenthood is to make an adult.
Mhm.
And 18, I'm done. Well, no, it's like there's no artificial end.
Mhm.
It's when they're an adult, whatever that is.
Right.
They run
Well-
away and move to.
Well, actually, ours have moved away, and it's sort of become obvious that it never ends. It, I mean, if you have like a good relationship with your kids,
Right.
and it sort of never ends, because they always sort of look back to you, um, and
Well, we aren't going to do their laundry.
we're not gonna do their laundry, but we're always going to be interested in their lives, and they're always going to, I guess, share with us.
Yep.
And so we maintain a relationship with them.
Well, being a parent never ends.
Right.
Period. I mean, once a parent, always a parent. That's just the way it works. Even if your child doesn't want you anymore. That's the
Yeah,
sad part of it, right?
And if you see your child doing something, like if Robert's married and has a child of his own, but he would, if we saw him doing something, we might mention it or try to give some advice, but that's sort of the end of where our influence can be.
I tell them what to do all the time, and they say, uh-huh. And don't do it.
All right, let's see. Did we read 19? A hot-tempered man must pay the penalty. If you rescue him, you will have to do it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, they gotta learn the lesson.
Yeah, that's sort of mean. So that sort of means to me that, well, some people you just can't help.
Yeah, right.
So you don't let them get away with it one time. That's what this says.
You probably until you, and I think you do until you figure it out. You may have to do it again before you figure it out.
Yeah.
But then you know it. And you're just the confirmation of the if you didn't listen to the proverb, then you're the confirmation of the proverb. And you can stop now. Many are the plans of a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. let's see. The other translation I've got is, you can make many plans, but the Lord's purpose will prevail.
I have nevertheless, the Lord's counsel that will stand.
Yes.
And that's,
I did last night in my little 5-minute homily, I talked about Psalm 20, where it's a kingly prayer. It's David doing a kingly psalm, and it is about going to battle and winning. But the other portion of the psalm is about if you go to battle and you go to battle with your plans and your ideas and your wants and your desires, you're going to lose. That the only way you're going to win is to go as a subject of God. Let God prevail. God is the one that will guide you and direct you and bring God's will to fruition. We're just the participant in God's plan, not the plan makers that get God to do our bidding, which is sadly a way it's understood a lot of times. Oh gosh. Okay, let's see. We get 2 more in here. We read to 23, right?
22.
22. What a man desires is unfailing love, but to be poor, better to be poor than a liar. I've got loyalty makes a person attractive. It is better to be poor than dishonest. Any other ones?
What is desired in a man is kindness. That makes sense. But the poor man is better than a liar. That doesn't seem to follow. A kind man is better than a rich man. So a kind man, if a man is poor and kind, then I can't make this mean that.
Well, mine I think is a little easier. Loyalty makes a person attractive. That's not talking about a rich person. That's just any person.
Right.
So if I am a person who does not have a lot of wealth, a lot of stuff, and I'm wanting to be that person who is, the big shot, then this says loyalty makes a person attractive, not other stuff. It's better for you to be poor than dishonest. So don't make yourself something that you're not in the efforts to become the big shot. It won't work.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. Hoo-yah. So that leads to 23. Oh, let's stop. Let's read 23 and then we'll stop because it's 8:30. Who wants to read 23?
I will.
You do.
The fear of the Lord leads to life. A man has food and shelter and no evil to fear.
So there's that primer back again. The fear of the Lord leads to life.
On my translation says, diverse weights are an abomination to the Lord, and the dishonest scales are not good.
Wow.
On 23?
That's 23.
Wow.
Where did they come up with that one?
Yeah, my other translation is, fear of the Lord leads to life, bringing security and protection from God.
I think this says don't put your thumb on the scale, but
What translation is that?
this is the New King James.
Wow. I'm going to have to look that up. 23? New
King James, mine says the fear of the Lord leads to life, and he who has it will abide in satisfaction, and he will not be visited with evil.
There you go.
Which one is that?
That's 23.
23.
Is that King James?
That's King James.
Where did they go AWOL?
I'm looking. Oh, you know what?
Oh, you turned
two pages, a page stuck
Oh.
together.
Hallelujah.
So that's my fault.
Dang, I gotta erase my notes now.
Saved by the day.
Man, it's getting the brain hurt on that one. All right, well, we're at the end of our rope for a really good time tonight, and thanks for that sharing time before. That was really fantastic.
Yeah.
We are at 23. We'll pick up coming back to the fear of the Lord and move on from there, and in chapter 19, and then roll through 20.
Sure, it's not 19 and not 20. It's 20 and not 19.
We're at 1923. All right, guys. I pray that you have a wonderful, wonderful night tonight, a good rest and peaceful sleep.
Hey, Bill, can you hold on for a second?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.